Welcome to the Filmcast review of Fantastic Four: First Steps. I'm going to read the plot summary for this movie from IMDb. According to IMDb, forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond, the Fantastic Four must defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus and his enigmatic herald, Silver Surfer. End quote. I'm actually going to start with Jeff Canada this week. You know, I have to say, Jeff, when I was watching this movie, I was regretful because I was like, I'm a little bit bummed I couldn't watch this movie with Jeff because
yes,
you know, I had a feeling I knew what your reaction would be, but regardless, I'm interested in what your reaction is because this is a franchise that I know you and I, and to also a large extent Devindra, have longed to see brought to the big screen in a way that actually honors the comic book characters.
Sure. Yeah.
So, Jeff Canada, what did you think of the Fantastic Four: First Steps?
Well, Dave, I guess you could say what I thought of the Fantastic Four: First Steps is best summed up in the form of a limerick.
All right, let's hear it.
Reed Richards' arms are elastic, and the crisis he faces is drastic. There's only one word to describe what occurred. This new Marvel film is great.
I thought you were going to go with spastic.
Yeah.
All right, so that
a
was
little
terrible,
dramatic.
That was
Wow.
a terrible limerick. I have a different. I have a second.
You
limerick.
zigged instead of zagging there, Jeff.
I have a second limerick.
All right, here, hit us.
These characters that I adore were done wrong, but they kept making more. To buy Tim's story, then tanked number 3. Here's the version I've been waiting for.
Nailed it, Jeff. That was a good one.
You missed the unreleased Roger Corman one, Jeff.
Well, it's
the
unreleased.
90s one
That's
that
why
could
it
have
doesn't,
happened.
it doesn't count. But yes,
pirated copies are out there. You can watch it. Yeah.
I actually have watched it many years ago, but on VHS, there was I got a hold of a VHS thing. Anyway, within I think 2 minutes of this movie starting, I had the biggest grin on my face. I love this movie. We just came off of a Superman film that I think reinvigorated my joy at seeing something that has hope and optimism in it. And then right on the heels of that, here's Fantastic Four that is just fueled with optimism and joy and humanity and love for our fellow humans. And I love Superman. I think that it was a great movie. I had a lot of nits to pick with that movie, as you can go back and hear in our long review of it. I don't know if I'd change a single frame of Fantastic Four: First Steps. I love this movie so very much. The thing that Marvel's cinematic universe has done, I think, so well and so differently than the previous cinematic versions of Marvel characters up to that point. You know, we had many years of Marvel characters being brought to the big screen in various ways. And many of them, it was like, okay, what do we need to do to these characters to make them work in a movie? What changes do we need to make? And I sympathize with that. I understand the motivation behind that thought process. But what the MCU does and what the creators of the MCU in these individual movies have managed to do at their best, not always, but at their best, and consistently, I would say, more frequently they have done this than not, is they have gotten to the core of what makes these characters endure. There is something cool about a guy who can stretch, a dude who's big and rocky, a guy who can catch fire, and a woman who can go invisible and make force fields. There's something cool about that on the face of it, right? But that is not what makes these characters endure for 60 years. There is, and I think that sometimes in the past, when these superhero characters have been brought to the big screen, creators have thought that's enough. We have what is cool about them? Oh, their superpowers are cool about them. The circumstances of their origin story is what's cool about them. You know, the dynamic between the hero and villain is what's cool about them. And what Marvel does at their best with this version of the Fantastic Four, what they have done, I think previously with taking characters that have been poorly represented in films, in my opinion, and then get it right. Take characters that are really hard to show in real life, like a Captain America. Captain America is a ridiculous notion, right? On the face of it, right? It works when you draw it, but it's hard to put it as a person, a physical human being, real live person. But those work because they get at the heart of what brings people to these characters, what makes these characters endure. And for the Fantastic Four, that really is family. That really is this enduring bond and love that these characters have for each other. And this movie starts, the first frame of this film is Reed and Sue in a very domestic situation. He's rummaging through the medicine cabinet, basically. And their dynamic, it's beautiful. It endures throughout the entire movie. This adding in Ben and Johnny, and the relationships that I think infuse this movie with a humanity and a life work. The actors they got have chemistry. The characters are, I think, beautifully represented and really get to the heart of why I've loved the Fantastic Four. I am very fortunate. I had a great family growing up. I have loving parents and a sister, and we had a great family dynamic. My parents weren't killed tragically, right? Thank goodness. I did not relate to Superman and Batman and even Spider-Man and a lot of those origin stories. I loved the Fantastic Four because they were good people who loved each other and were amazing and were fantastic, right? That's what this movie shows. And if you go back, in 2007, when Rise of the Silver Surfer came out, I was doing the Totally Rad show. We reviewed that movie. 2015, I reviewed the Josh Trank one here with you guys. I'm fairly confident to say you could go back to those and hear me going, they need to do this movie, these characters as a period piece.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is because the Fantastic Four were introduced in 1961, right? 1960, John F. Kennedy is inaugurated president or elected president. The space race is in full bloom, right? It is ask not what our country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country, right? That hope, that optimism is at the very heart of what the Fantastic Four is. Like, Stan Lee never said Reed Richards was directly inspired by John F. Kennedy, but it's impossible not to think that's the case, or at least that era and the idea of the family dynamic and this looking to the stars and having that hopeful optimism, that belief that if we all band together and we all believe in something greater than ourselves, we can achieve it. That is what this movie is about. There is literally a moment in this movie where Reed Richards stands in front of the world and says, we can do this all together if we all believe in each other. That is the core. That is the heart, I think, of what makes these characters special. And this movie gets it. It gets that feeling. And it's so wonderful that Marvel understood it, that they've created a situation where, man, this movie stands alone. You don't need to know anything about them, anything about the other movies or TV shows to live inside this movie and to have them go, we need to carve out a world that still feels that way. And because we're carving out that kind of world with hope and optimism and sort of, technology can be this positive thing instead of a yoke around our necks. Because we can create a world like that, it can actually comment on our world and it can remind us of what is possible and that feeling that we all want to have about the world again. I came out of this movie just feeling so great. I had a smile on my face the whole time. It's a movie that eschews interpersonal conflict between the team to create this external conflict. And I think that's great. We can have a movie later. There's lots of history of the Fantastic Four in the comics having, interpersonal problems, but the fact that they're all together, that they love each other, that it is unquestioned, that they're all competent. Ben Grimm is a freaking awesome pilot. He's not an imbecile. He's not a big lug that says clobber in time all the time and is just an idiot. No, he's the best that freaking is at what he does. The reason these people went to space is because they're the best. They're the brightest. They're the most inspiring, and people love them for it. Like, what a time to get this movie. What a time when things feel so dark and so ominous and so debilitating on so many levels, to have a Superman that feels optimistic, to have a Fantastic Four that feels so optimistic. Like, thank you, escapism. Thank you, fantasy. Thank you. This is what I felt as a kid when I was reading these comics, is a notion of what is the better part of ourselves? What is the thing to aspire to? What is the thing that makes you fantasize about having these powers? Is it this burden that is crippling and is so hard? No, it's an opportunity to be the best person you can be. And that is what this Fantastic Four is for me. I love this movie so much. Like, I was crying at the end. I was smiling. It is full of lovely moments of humor and personality. I have lots more to say about it, in detail, because I'm sort of not really even talking about the movie. But I'm just so heartened and so relieved that after 3 or 4, however you count it, iterations of this movie on the big screen, not really ever working, like, this is it. This is what people that have loved these characters love about them. And here it is in beautiful, gorgeous, high budget, high production value glory. I am so happy.
Glad to hear you're a fan, Jeff Kanata. Devindra Hardawar, what did you think of Fantastic Four First Steps?
I thought it was all right. Sorry, I was looking at the time count here because Jeff, you were going on for like 10 minutes there.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I can't help myself sometimes.
It's good.
I'm joking.
Love
I
the
think
passion. Love the passion.
you're exactly right there, Jeff. Like, the secret sauce of this movie is #family. And it's also something the Incredibles did really well too. Like, the Incredibles, it's Fantastic Four powers, right? And I think up until now, this was the best iteration of like that concept, these powers, a core unit like this. I love the family. And I think this movie also hinges on some things that feel very real if you've had kids. I think a lot of things specifically hinge on that. And it's interesting how this movie, I'll talk about the real final villain of this movie in spoilers. But a lot of this movie just feels true to being married, being in a relationship, but also that really terrifying moment of having a child, and what happens if the world for some reason is trying to take that child from you, and what does that mean? Ultimately though, it's just a fun movie. I think both this and Superman are about hope, but Superman, as it wants to be, and as James Gunn tends to do, is a little more punk rocky, right? It's rough around the edges. It is a little more flippant, and like it just like has a different tone to it. This feels like classical music, right? This feels like we're going to do a beautiful score. We're going to have a really high budget. We're going to have huge set pieces. But at the same time, I think it's accomplishing something similar. What was really compelling about Superman was that it did really tie into the real world in ways. And I think some things this movie does feel like, man, what's truly unbelievable is what happens in later acts of this movie around humanity. But you know what? It's still a really good time. I don't really care about these characters. I did not really grow up with the Fantastic Four. I'm all X-Men all the way. But this movie made me care for them. And I think it tells a really compelling story. And it just felt like, oh man, it feels so confident. It feels like, is the MCU back? Is Marvel back? Like, this is what we felt early on with some of these movies. And it just feels so like showing us things we've never seen before. It feels beautiful. It made me really, really happy in the theater. Pretty much every element of this film, is something I wouldn't touch. Like, I think it's all praiseworthy. The core cast is great. Michael Giacchino's score. he is just having fun. He is having so much fun. The set design, the tone of this movie, the fact that it's a period piece. It is kind of funny that they basically had to go to an alternate universe to get out of the like snarky MCU tone. Like this is not the MCU we've been watching. This is a whole other world that is like techno futurist optimistic, and they can justify that. So that is kind of funny too. I'm interested to see how it all kind of fits together. But yeah, I love this movie. I kind of want to take my kids to see it, or at least my older child, my daughter, who we watched the trailer and she was really intrigued by this. It gets the scale of a lot of things right too. The scale of some places they go, the scale of Galactus. Galactus is great. What a great villain Galactus is, and also the sort of like torment he's going through. I've also read a bit about like what happens in the comics, and it's really interesting. What are they setting up for this next phase of the MCU? Jeff, you're probably more aware of some of this stuff too, but Baby Franklin, he goes places. He goes to some real places apparently. So it's going to be interesting to see where all this goes. But yeah, I love this movie.
I really enjoyed the movie as well. So I'm just gonna say, like, overall, I had a great time with this film, and I love that this is the beginning of Marvel's Phase 6. People have stopped keeping track of which phase we're in, but this is a really good reset. Don't call it a reboot of Marvel, right? And the MCU, and this is the Big Tent. Everyone can come in and check this one out. You don't need to have seen any other Marvel films. I'll list a few things I really like about the film. I think I'm probably the coolest on this film of the three of us. So, like, you guys, Jeff loved it. Devindra also really loved it.
Yep.
I really liked it because I think it has some big issues, but overall had a blast. I think the first half of the movie is amazing. Like, I love the first half, and in particular, Jeff, you made a comment that I thought was very astute during our Superman review, where you said that Superman is like a postmodern superhero film where we don't need the origin story anymore. Don't need the origin story anymore. Like, we're right in medias res. We're right in the middle of the story, and the audience is just going to get it. That's what we get with Fantastic Four, essentially. Like, you're introduced to the Fantastic Four. They've already been a big deal on this version of Earth that they're in. And
it's like you picked up issue 70 of the comic book. I mean, and they literally kind of yada the first 60 issues for you.
Right.
In
they
the
don't
first
explain
5 minutes
like how they got the powers. I mean, they explain it, but they don't show it. And
but you get like a 30-second version of the origin story here,
right,
where Superman
but it's like
had
so
nothing.
fast.
Superman didn't even recap a lot of that.
Right, Superman didn't even do that. I loved all of that. So I was like,
so good.
I was just like, this is all, like, the way that they showed their powers was just super cool. And they don't no one's explaining like, well, this is Johnny Storm, and he does, like, they just show it visually, and the way they do it is very beautiful, I thought. And speaking of beauty, this is one of the best looking Marvel films ever. And I mean, first of all, there's actual color. A lot of Marvel films are shot in this very desaturated look that I don't think has aged very well. This one is not that. They clearly had made some really big decisions. It kind of resembles this Technicolor aesthetic of the 60s, and not only that, the retro future production design is they really committed to it in a way that is impressive.
It's beautiful.
Like, there's no CDs.
Herbie is awesome.
What'd you say?
Herbie is awesome.
Yeah.
Which is a hard thing to pull off. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No worries. But like, I really felt the commitment when, they, there's no like iPhones or digital memory. So in order to like play audio recordings, they need to burn records, basically. They need to like etch out records. And it's like, wow, they really committed to this. Like,
it's the second movie of the summer to heavily feature the golden record.
Yeah.
After Elio.
Yeah. So just the movie looks amazing. There's some cosmic stuff in the film that is just like, wow, these are really good visual effects. Like, I'm watching, I'm like, this looks awesome. So, and perhaps most importantly, I do think that this movie does honor the Fantastic Four characters in the way that Jeff Kanata outlined, right? Like, we have been so wanting for a version of these characters that really is aspirational, that reminds us of that period in America's history. And I don't fault Josh Trank for wanting to take a chance and make a darker version of Fantastic Four. Obviously, the problem there was not the decision to make it dark, but was the execution was just so horrible. The movie felt like it got edited to shreds. And yeah, this is the best version of Fantastic Four that we've seen on the big screen ever. Having said all that, a couple of minor issues that I want to bring up. First of all, I think the villain looks really cool. I think the villain is otherwise really not very interesting, and I don't think the movie does a particularly good job of explaining. And maybe that's the point. That I'm sure that's fairly accurate to the
planets.
Comics.
Come on.
I'm sure that's fairly accurate to the comics. But that's it. It's like, okay, all right, yeah.
What's there to explain?
Yeah.
That's scary. There's a sequence in this movie, which I won't reveal too much here, but I saw this in like an IMAX screen, and like the scale of like how that looked is terrifying. So
it's an awesome
that's
IMAX
kind of what's
experience for sure. Yeah.
And I do think that the final act of this movie feels very rushed to me. The movie is called Fantastic Four First Steps. It, to me, does not feel really like a complete satisfying story. It does really feel like, oh, we're just getting introduced to these characters. I
gotta say, dude, I hated that title until I saw the movie, and then I went, oh, it's a brilliant title. It's a brilliant title. I didn't get it, and I think it's you're meant to only get it after you see the movie, which is awesome.
It is a very I would describe it as a fairly conventional third act Marvel, like if you've seen a Marvel film with a third act that has a big confrontation, this is very standard for that, in my opinion. But yeah, overall, had a great time. Would recommend, like, I feel good recommending this movie to people as an entry point to the MCU, which I have not felt in a long time. Like, this is a movie I'm like, go watch, go check this. Hey, have you ever wanted to get into? I have friends who literally have never seen any Marvel films. It's like, oh, this is a one you could go see, and it could get you into the Marvel universe.
And there's some scary bits, but I think a good entry point for kids too. Like, if you really want to cement that existential horror of like what cosmic sized villains can be like, kind of a cool thing. I don't know. My 6-year-old is into it, so I kind of want to go see it with her.
One last thing, and that is, many videos and essays and podcasts have been made about how Marvel music has been in general pretty unmemorable. But I want to echo what Devindra Hardawar said and Michael Giacchino, that this is not only like a theme, it's like a theme song almost, right? Like words,
vocals.
And so this is like the first MCU characters to get a theme song in the MCU, right? And so I appreciate that. I appreciate they're trying to give it a memorable sonic identity. So yeah, a lot of cool things worth mentioning about Fantastic Four First Steps. So
people often point out that Alan Silvestri did the Avengers theme and everything. I never found that to be really memorable. It felt really basic.
I like that
this
theme.
Is like,
it's
fine. But this is like, I can't stop humming this. I can't stop like thinking about this song. So, or the way this movie sounds. Yeah.
Jeff, go ahead and then let's get to spoilers.
I have a few other things I want to say before spoilers. One thing is, it is my belief that if you look at every superhero power that there is, the one that is the hardest to make into live action is Mr. Fantastic or Plastic Man, right? Stretchy human body is great to draw, looks awesome when you draw it. Making it work in live action is almost always going to look dumb.
You look like Stretch Armstrong. With the earlier
and
movies,
what I think very smartly, Shackman and whoever's making the decisions uses it very sparingly in this movie. It is very sparingly done. I had always thought that one of the things I liked about The Incredibles is that they're just constantly using their powers. It's like, if I have the ability to stretch, why would I walk across the room? I can stretch, like they're just, I thought, oh, wow. Yeah, of course. The way The Incredibles is expressed is how you would do a Fantastic Four movie. And I'm eating my words now because I feel like it was very intelligent to have the few uses of Mr. Fantastic stretch to come few and far between, many of them done kind of in camera or with very I think subtle, there'll be like a low shot and his hand just kind of comes in frame and we know he's on the other side of the room, but we don't need to see the goofy kind of elongated arm. The big action sequence at the end, we get to see much more stretchy stuff. But I think for the most part, it was smartly restrained in that regard. The other thing I want to say is
on that note, Jeff, I just want to say I was actually pretty impressed with how they did Sue Storm's powers.
So different than what you would think, right?
Yeah, because she can make force fields, but turn things invisible. But she also just has this kind of like energy beam power. And
those are force fields.
Yeah, but like not just force fields. Like she can. I don't want to get
force
into
field bubbles, basically, that she sends at people.
Yeah, but the way that it's kind of like this lens flare style,
so great
thing, and they don't really explain like here's exactly what the power set is, but just using this kind of very subtle lens flare shimmering visual, they're able to communicate it, and I thought it was pretty artful given how, I would argue personally, ambiguous that power set is, but Jeff doesn't agree, but that's fine. Anyway,
well,
point is, we both
ambiguity
like
or not, I think it's hard to show something being invisible.
Yeah,
and I also think that it's there's sort of a way that it's been done. This even in like Predator or other science fiction movies where you have like a sort of a morphing of the world around it. You kind of see an outline. Like, no, that's not how Marvel did it here. That's not how Shackman did it here. And I think it's cool. Like you said, it's got this really wonderful kind of rainbow, diffracted light look to it. That is, I think, very unintuitive.
Yeah.
You would expect for the way her power set is usually even drawn in the comics. And I thought it was beautiful. I loved it.
Yeah. It's a force field from Annihilation, basically. Like it has that sort of shimmer.
Good comp. Jeff, anything else before we get to spoilers?
I want to just also mention, I think this is the best thing that has ever been in on the silver screen. It's the most, I think, authentic to the comic. I thought Eben, what his name's Eben Moss Backrack. Excuse me. I haven't said his name before out loud. Love him obviously in The Bear, and I think he's great here. Very restrained and very sort of understated with the thing. You could, I love Michael Chiklis. Everybody knows The Shield is my favorite TV show of all time, and I thought he would be the perfect thing, and he did what I think is, again, the obvious take, which is him being very demonstrative and very oversized and very, loud and stuff. And I love this take. I love how beautifully, interior he is about it. And we get, actually, the movie makes time to put the thing on Yancey Street, to have him in his trench coat and fedora walking through the streets, like picking up groceries. Like that's the thing. The thing is a beautiful character in the comics. 60 years of this beautiful, beautiful character who is tormented by his power, right? Kind of loves the expression of his strength, but has this very complex interior life that has troubled him, and you get aspects of it, right? The movie isn't about that. We're not really going there completely, but it's a layer that's present. Yeah. And I just was so impressed with that.
That's where I disagree with you. Like I wish it had more than just the faintest traces of what you're describing. Like there is so much to be mined there. A big part of the issue is that the movie is significantly less than 2 hours long. Like this thing speeds along. It is a very like smooth piece of entertainment that goes down easy. But even Superman was 2 hours and 20 minutes long because they knew they needed the extra time. I wish there was more of what you're describing, Jeff. I'm glad you saw a little bit of it here, but yeah, to me, this really felt like the first steps of really giving us what full blown story with Fantastic Four.
I mean, there's a bit of a romance with him that I think is kind of cool with a surprise actor there. So I felt it. You kind of feel the conflict there. They never outright say it. I could have stayed in this universe for another half an hour. Though. I would have loved to see more of them.
Let's get to spoilers because there's more to discuss. But yeah, spoilers for Fantastic Four First Step starting right now. Yeah, I mean, that romance with Natasha Lyonne's character, in my opinion, got short shrift. It really felt like it was supposed to be a more deeper
you feel the longing.
Thing.
Like it's all he has is longing. Yeah,
it's just flavor at the edges. It's just stuff for give color and I think, potential for future films to go a little deeper.
Sure.
The thing that I am so surprised at, honestly, is that this movie is called First Steps because this movie is about Franklin. It's about Franklin. This is an origin story for Franklin Richards, who seems to be positioned as the center of what's happening next in the Marvel Universe proper.
Yeah.
And I did not see that coming at all. I think that is so cool, so interesting. And I mean, that birth scene is one of the coolest scenes in all of the Marvel Universe movies.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Incredible sequence.
Yeah.
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 Even before that,
when they they transport to the black hole, I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
amazing stuff.
Yeah, because they're introducing all these ideas to you left and right, and then it's like, okay, let's use the black hole now. Okay, we're gonna slingshot around the star to get home. It's like, this is like
so much stuff happening.
Love the sci-fi stuff.
Unbelievable,
movie, right?
so good, and like the idea of giving birth in zero gravity. Like you need gravity, so we're gonna slingshot around to give you some gravity.
Yeah,
just unreal. And then her, like in the moment of giving birth, going invisible, like that is so just layers of meaning there and awesomeness. I was completely blown away by that moment in the movie, and how Ben is being fucking awesome as the pilot in that moment. Everybody is like at the top of their game. So cool, having Johnny like trying to shoot, but the thing is warping the beam around, like all these amazing ideas.
And the music during that whole sequence. Beautiful stuff. Also really interesting that basically Franklin Richards is being birthed near or thanks to a black hole, basically, or a neutron star. A lot of interesting imagery there. Even before we get there, the little moment they have where Sue Storm uses her powers to see the baby inside of her.
Yeah.
We have never seen that before.
That's very, very cool. Very, very
imagine if a couple could do that, because that's what you go to the doctor and you get like a glimpse, and now they could do like 3D. You could get a 3D scan of what your baby looks like, but they could just see. And to me, that was like really just genuinely beautiful. The stuff leading up to, they go into space, right? There's no setup for faster than light. There's no setup for FTL.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, they can make the space. That's cool.
They barely even use the words faster than light. They like just start with the abbreviation FTL.
They start with FTL. They get to the ring and like,
get it. Yeah.
They're like, oh, we're just going for it. And I was like, that's when I knew I loved this movie. It just took that swing. Yeah.
That was amazing. That was awesome when they dock with the design of the ship and the three things that peel off. It's so cool. We haven't talked about Julia Garner as Silver Surfer. Here's the thing. I actually think that the visual conception and execution of the character, the performance is all great. Only like and just like they show her surfing through all different kinds of stuff, lava and stardust and all this cool stuff. So like they found a way to use the surfing thing. So all that stuff is like visually it's spectacular. The only question I have, and Jeff, maybe you can help answer this, is
the surfboard part of her body?
No. Why send the Herald?
I think
rather
the movie answers that.
No. Why have the Herald announce things to everyone? Like, why not just
because it's inevitable.
It's a courtesy.
It's a courtesy. She literally says,
"She's kind.
Make use of these last moments."
Yes.
So they're just being nice.
Life to your fullest.
Yeah.
Like
it would be cruel to just come and eat your planet.
That's right.
Yeah.
There is nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
So I am here to inform you that things are about to end for you. So enjoy the last moments you have.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was awesome. And I it was the first time that all sort of galvanized for me, actually, even years of reading it. Like this notion of I'm here to give you the gift of knowing that these are your last moments.
Right.
Like
she treats it as a kindness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna say that is very kind. But I do see some holes with the plan.
In what way?
Well, I just mean in some instances, the people may rebel and then
teleport
to another.
This movie.
I think that is what's cool about it, is that there is, to Galactus's mind, do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, right.
because there's nothing you can
There's
do
nothing
about
you can
it.
do about it.
That is what's cool about it, is like there is no flaw to that plan because Galactus is inevitable.
Yeah.
I am
And
inevitable.
so,
Yeah.
you know, enjoy it or not. I don't care. I'm giving you the option. You
Right.
want to try to push back, knock yourself out. The only reason it's not inevitable in this case is because Galactus sees a way out for himself.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise, there's nothing the Fantastic Four would be able to do. Right?
It's
There's
almost
nothing
kind of like,
anybody would be able to do.
It's sort of like Unbreakable as well, right? Like there's elements of that. Like as he's consuming these worlds, maybe he is aware that at one point he may find this thing. So maybe before all that, like let's have a little bit of a taste to know if there's that one thing that could save me this time. Otherwise, I'm going to eat that world.
I want to say one of my favorite moments of Silver Surfer is when they're in the tractor beam of the Galactus ship, and then Silver Surfer just passes through into the Fantastic Four ship. It's done in such like a threatening, ominous way that this person's just like, they're just taking it, they're just chilling. They're not even, requires no effort for them to like pass through the ship into their space. I really appreciated that part of the thing. And
the
then,
imagery is cool. Yeah.
Look, Devindra, I think you share my skepticism that they could convince the planet to not sacrifice this baby.
That's the most unbelievable thing in this movie is that all of humanity unites.
They're like, okay, not only are we going
common goal.
Not only are we going to not sacrifice this baby, but we're going to all dedicate unthinkably massive resources.
Now we need your resources. We also need you to conserve power.
To building this teleportation gate. Now look. I think what's clear is that Earth 828. Is it 828 or 838?
Yes.
Earth 828.
It has to be 828 because it's Jack Kirby's birthday.
Earth 828 is a much more collectivist society than the planet we're on right now,
except for Latveria.
And and I accept that. I also think that it was all worth it because when the Silver Surfer comes in at the end and he starts freaking annihilating those huge pylon things, that was like such a cool moment. You know what I mean? When she's just like,
and it's
boom,
so,
boom, boom, boom. Yeah, it's like
heartbreaking.
It's gasp. Yes, it's heartbreaking because you see what it took to make
so much work, and then she's just like, boom, I'm just knocking these things out left and right.
You got
nice
the
try,
first one
suckers.
goes down. You're like, okay, well maybe they can still make it work, and then she does like 3 or 4. And
It's
you're like,
still good. It's still good.
Yeah, it was awesome. One of my favorite things in all fiction. I've talked about this a lot in the book club podcast that I do. One of my favorite things in all fiction is when a writer will show us the coolest plan ever, and you're like, this is the coolest plan ever, and then they're like, nope, it doesn't work, and you're like, oh no, now what? Now where are we?
Right.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, that is a cool kind of idea. Yeah.
The thing, I think it's meant to evoke the way at least this country came together during World War II, and everybody was rationing, metal and all that stuff, and Rosie the Riveter and all that, like, Uncle Sam pointing at you and what can you do, and all, and John F. Kennedy, ask not what you can do, all that stuff. I think it is meant to evoke that, and it is on a fantastical scale, right? It's a global scale, but I think what I loved about it is there obviously direct correlation that I think is 100% intentional to global climate change, right? To like, hey, we have this existential threat that is looming, that is approaching our planet. And what it takes is every single human being doing their part to stop it. And like, oh, here's a vision of a world where they do it. And isn't that beautiful? And isn't that like, it really is possible. Like the idealism in this movie is beautiful to me. And I don't think the metaphor is that obtuse, right? It is pretty obvious that this is a stand-in for things that are, threatening our planet as well. So I loved that. That's the part of that optimism that I found so beautiful about the movie.
It's just funny in comparison because for us, right, Galactus is coming and everyone's like, hey, how about fake money that burns our resources? Okay. What if your computer could tell you lies and also burn up all your fossil fuels?
In our world, it would be
that's what we did.
In our world, there would be people saying, "Guys, Galactus is not coming," and those people would be billionaires, right?
No, I
those
agree.
People would be making all the money.
Isn't it wonderful to have your escapist fantasy show us the the best side of our nature. And
it certainly is.
we have enough bleak. I love, like, that's what I want to see.
Disagree.
Is like, hey, maybe it's inspiring, you know, maybe showing, you know, people in their fiction, what if we're actually all good to each other? You know, like that, it's a possibility. It's a world you can visualize.
Sure.
So
it's cool to have that, but also it's also cool for Superman to be like, hey, here is a direct correlation to atrocities happening right now, and I can say that, you know. So it's fine. I love them for their own reasons, basically.
Yeah. So we got 2 post-credit scenes. One is like a kind of fun cartoon reference.
No. Before we get there,
okay,
you kill Galactus. Final villain, the true villain, the car seat. Requires 3 men.
Oh man,
3 men to properly put it in. Until you do that, you do not know how
brilliant,
frustrating and
scene.
Painful and annoying it is.
Yeah, so right. And that the detail of like having to put this belt buckle, the seat buckle through the thing, and like, oh my god, how many times I've shredded my fingers trying to do that. Yeah, it's a lovely moment. I totally agree, Devindra. Very good call out for sure. But I mean, honestly, like, we should talk a little bit about that.
To be fair, by the way, Galactus is not dead. They just sent him to the opposite side of the universe. So
yeah, sure. Yeah. He'll never find his way back. Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong?
I will say it did get to me when Johnny Storm, you know, they did give Johnny Storm like a couple heroic moments. He says to the Herald, he says, "Hey, take me instead," and she's like, "Sorry, like, you're not actually gonna do what I need you to do. So
sorry, you're useless. Yeah.
Sorry, you're useless." And then, but then he tries to come in at the end. He's like, you know, tell Franklin that his uncle loves him. And I was just like, oh man. But then the Herald comes in at the end instead. But I was like, that would have been so freaking heroic, you know, if he did that.
No, but it's lovely. And they paint these characters that have in other film versions been painted as the comedic sidekick or the buffoon.
Yeah.
You know, as capable, as heartfelt, you know, as an integral part of the four. And I love that about it. Johnny figures out the language. Like, he does a lot of really smart things. He's not an idiot. And neither is Ben, right? Ben is a very capable pilot. When that sequence where he's like calculating the trajectories and like he's always on it. Like, these are not part of the problem. I think sometimes with the Fantastic Four is like Reed's brilliant and he got these 3 idiots with him. You know, it's like, no. They're the best of the best. And that's what's, you know, I love that the movie understands that too.
But it's also funny that this starts with Johnny Storm being hot for the silver alien lady. Like, that's where it really starts. Yeah. And then his intelligence comes in and he breaks the language. Yeah.
All that stuff was so great. I thought the back and forth, the razzing, it's so great. The ending though, well, one of the things that I found so surprising too is that, you know, this movie ends with the tag, like, the Fantastic Four will return in Avengers Doomsday, but I thought this movie was going to get them to the post-credit scene from Thunderbolts, right? And it doesn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
And I'm also going to say, Jeff, I was a little bit disappointed. You know, okay, yes, it's great that this is like a fresh start, and I love that in general. But I wish there had been some, not a lot, just like give me a little bit of connection to anything we've seen before in terms of the MCU, and it basically does.
Oh, Dave, you want it both ways, don't you?
You want it both ways.
I'm not saying like hinge the whole plot. I'm just saying like maybe just a tiny maybe in the
fresh
final post-credit sequence. Fresh start. Fine, that's fine, guys.
Steps.
That's fine.
As Sue was dying, I thought, oh, this is how we do it.
Yeah,
we have to go to the other multiverse.
Right, that's what I thought.
To get to
it. When Silver Surfer knocks out all the energy things, I'm like, oh, they need an arc reactor, and so they're going to need to go to the,
This is what the MCU has done with us. It's destroyed our brains. It's like, oh, we have to go to another movie. We have to get other characters in to solve these problems.
I give it a lot of credit, but it does feel like, oh my goodness, Avengers Doomsday needs to do the heavy lifting to get the Fantastic Four here.
Yeah.
Right. So we're not going to see them in the interim unless the heavy lifting is literally just the Thunderbolts post credits. And that's all we know is that they, it feels like now there's a burden on this Avengers movie to give this the connective tissue from this other universe to this universe. And maybe that connective tissue is Doctor Doom. Maybe that's
Doom
the entirety of
Doom takes the baby. Got to go get the baby.
Yeah.
Baby's important.
The
That baby.
only movie that theoretically is going to come out between now and Avengers Doomsday is Spider-Man Brand New Day in summer of 2026, right? Then Avengers Doomsday Christmas of 2026 that same year. So I think you're right. And based on the cast of Avengers Doomsday, like that movie is going to have
That's
first
a lot
of all,
to do.
minimum 2 hours and 40 minutes long. I think that movie is.
Oh yeah.
Possibly
Lots to
3
do.
hours long. Yeah, and there's just a lot that movie needs to cover.
And that's why I was certain we were going to get them heading over to 616 before you know, at the end of this movie, or at least in the post-credit scene. I was like, okay, well, get in the plane. We're headed to the you know, but no,
Right.
no, it doesn't.
Right. So so to be clear, right, Thunderbolts at the very post-credit scenes, spoilers for Thunderbolts, we see like an interdimensional rift open up and the spaceship from the Fantastic Four come through. That's
With
what we
the
see.
Although it looks a little
With the
different.
4 logo on it, right?
Yeah.
So
It has the logo on it, but it's not the same ship as the one we saw in this movie.
Is it?
A lot of people were saying it looks different. So maybe it's a production design thing, but that was a noticeable thing people did.
Got it. Maybe it's it's their backup model.
The next one.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, there's 2 post-credit scenes in Fantastic Four First Steps. In the very, very end, it's a fun little cartoon thing. You see like the Fantastic Four in universe have an animated show, and then you see a little clip from it. That's the post credits. But in the mid-credit scene, there is a scene that takes place 4 years in the future when Franklin is 4 years old, and Sue Storm is reading to Franklin. And then she goes to the kitchen to get something, and then she comes back. And who is there chilling with Franklin but Dr. Doom?
A masked man.
And you know what I realized at that moment? Wow, Robert Downey Jr. really negotiated his contract so he did not need to star in this film. Because he is in, Dr. Doom is in this movie for less than 5 seconds.
Well, it's not Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, you don't think it's Robert Downey Jr.?
Could be
Why
anybody.
would it be? It's the back
Could
of his
be
head.
literally anybody. Yeah.
No. I'm saying.
So that he's not in the movie
I
at all.
think it is
what you're saying.
that version of the character, but he's not in Robert Downey Jr. is not
Yeah,
in the movie.
they don't need to use him.
Right.
What's so cool is that you don't even need to get RDJ down at the studio that day.
Yeah.
We get it. We got the mask. We got the back of the head. We're good.
But wouldn't it have been kind of cool to see Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom?
Well, of
No,
course.
no. I would say no. Fresh steps. First steps. Fresh
Well,
start.
it is. He is playing that character though.
He is, but we don't need to. We don't need to know that.
Non-Robert Downey Jr. version of that character.
I'm
But
just
anyway,
saying we don't even see his face. There's no connection to the past in this
The
movie.
question
That's
to
kinda
me-
cool.
Yeah,
the question to me is Dr. Doom a known quantity in this universe of the
Right.
Fantastic Four?
what has happened in the 4 years?
Was Victor Von Doom? We see Latveria in
Yes.
the absent in the
Mm.
global harmony moment of the world coming together, right?
Yes.
Latveria not participating,
Mhm.
but was Victor Von Doom roommates with Reed Richards in college, like is
Mhm.
canon, or is that different here? We don't know any of that stuff. We don't know if there's been any interaction between the two of them.
I bet Avengers Doomsday is going to pick up right at the end of the scene, and it's going to be like, Victor, how's it going? You know, like,
buddy, good to see ya.
Welcome,
Uncle,
you know,
Uncle Vic.
we've been hanging out this whole time. You know, like you don't know about it, right? That's very possible.
That's funny.
It is kind of funny that the like maybe 5-second music cue you get in that sequence is credited to Alvin Silvestri in the final credits.
Yes.
It's Alvin Silvestri Doom ... question mark.
Yeah, Doom
Love it.
question mark. Yeah.
Love the Silvestri Avengers work. I need to
I
defend
wanna-
it against.
Please
the
be
Victor.
please be iconic. Yeah.
I want to
It is-
plug one
it is
more
iconic.
time. If you're curious about Franklin and his sister,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, all of this, if the first like 10 minutes of this movie where they're just showing them fighting all these crazy bad guys that sound ridiculous, if you want to know about all that stuff, there's a video on YouTube that I
Yay.
voiced that will tell you all of it. And it's very useful. 90 minutes. It's 60 years of Fantastic Four history in 90 minutes. It goes over like all of that stuff that you see at the beginning of this movie where, you know, they're fighting the mole man. They're fighting, you know, all these people.
Yeah.
Is canonical from the comics. It's like literally lifted from the first 50 issues of the Fantastic Four. And we talk about all of it. We'll give you more detail about it in that video. It's a blast. And you'll get at the, you know, toward the other half of the video, you'll get what becomes of Franklin, all of that stuff. If you want to be inside that knowledge, it's all there. So
on
Also,
the
shout out
Marvel
to
Marvel YouTube channel, I believe. Go ahead, Jeff.
Marvel YouTube channel,
Devindra.
yes.
Yep.
shout out to Paul Walter Hauser, by the way. Mole Man just kind of stole this movie a little bit because he's just having fun.
It's so
like
fun.
the chip on his shoulder he has from Surface Dwellers, like just it's fun.
Yeah,
it's
that
fun.
sequence where he's like, wipe your feet. I'm just kidding. It's all dirt down here. This is so funny.
But also the solution to evacuate New York is essentially let's go underground. Pretty
Yeah.
sure Galactus would destroy things underground too. Like I don't know how deep that is. How deep is that?
Well, no, I
underworld?
mean they say that if the planet dies, it goes from the inside out. So he's like, it's going to go fast. But they just want him to, when he's stomping through the buildings, they want no people to die.
I know.
So
I get that.
yeah.
I get that. It's just it's funny. It's funny the solution. Let's go under the city.
Yeah.
But at least they have an evacuation sequence here too, just like Metropolis. We're thinking about that now. That's cool.
Yeah. Both Superman and First Steps had scenes where they spent time explaining that they need to get people out there before the gigantic people start smashing things. And that's important because otherwise you end up with a post Man of Steel situation where we literally had, I think, 3 movies deal with the consequences of people who died during the attack at the end of Man of Steel.
Well, also Avengers did this too. After the blip and everything, and even after the first Avengers, the big fight in New York, people were mad at them, at all of that. Remember? Just kind of funny. Just kind of funny to see.
Yeah. All right, folks. Any other thoughts on Fantastic Four First Steps?
Summer.
What a summer.
It's been
We
a great
got a
summer.
good summer of movies. Like even the
Been a great summer of
Jurassic
movies.
Park movie wasn't terrible. Like what an abundance of riches we have this summer.
Indeed. Well, if you're a patron at patreon.com/filmpodcast, you're listening to this review earlier than everyone else. It has taken a little bit of extra work to get these out early. This will probably be the last one of these we do. This is the last movie that's big enough to warrant this. But we hope you've enjoyed these early reviews, and thanks so much for being a patron. We really appreciate it. All right, I think that's going to bring us to the end of our review of Fantastic Four First Steps. And at the end of the day, it is really impressive that Matt Shackman made a movie. Thank you so much for watching this video of the Filmcast. Check out these other videos that we have available, and be sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get other videos from us in the future.
You can also go to thefilmcast.com to catch all of our audio podcast versions of all of our episodes.
And support this podcast at patreon.com/filmpodcast, where you can sign up for ad-free episodes and exclusive After Darks.
Thanks so much to everyone who makes the Filmcast possible.